Welcome to Permission to Thrive. I'm your host, Suzi Lula. As a spiritual therapist for over 20 years, I have the honor and privilege of ushering women and mothers just like you on a journey from simply surviving to powerfully thriving. I also have the honor of raising our son, Will, who is now a young adult, with my longtime partner, Jamie, so I'm right there on the journey with you. Consider this your personal sanctuary, your space to meet your heart, embrace your messy, and come home to your most authentic, extraordinary self. My hope is that you leave resourced and inspired because you are here to shine. Welcome to Permission to Thrive. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of Permission to Thrive, and I have such a special guest today that I cannot wait for you all to meet. We are going to be talking about all things manifestation, all things shiny, all things true, real wealth, true, real success, and I can't wait for you to meet my guest, Kathleen Cameron. So I'm going to read her formal introduction, and then I will give a little personal, and then she and I are going to jump right in for you. So sit back, relax, open your heart, and receive all that we have in store for you today. So Kathleen Cameron. Kathleen Cameron is CEO and founder of Diamond Academy. So already, Diamond Academy, do you not feel better already? I love that name, Kathleen, Diamond Academy. You are an eight-figure manifestation coach, wealth creator, and best-selling author. And Kathleen transformed a vision into a $30 million online empire in 4 years, harnessing the power of the law of attraction and manifestation. You are empowering thousands globally to achieve unparalleled success and abundance. And I would like to add, she's all doing it while being a mama. So deep bow to you on that. And then I call my community my Thrivers, and I just wanted everyone to get a little flavor of Kathleen, how Kathleen and I met. I was speaking one day at Agape, the Agape International Spiritual Center with Michael Bernard Beckwith. And afterwards, I remember I came down and someone came over. There were lots of people around us, and someone came over and said, "Oh, you really need to meet Kathleen." And what I remember most, Kathleen, is that in that moment, I can't remember exactly what my topic was or what exactly we were talking about, but you were reflecting back something about my talk that resonated with you. And I don't remember exactly what you said, but here's what I do remember. The literal phrase and the way that you were saying what touched you, if I could have summed up the heart of my talk and what I would have wanted everyone to leave with, you said it to me. So it just jumped out at me like, oh my gosh, this is my girl. This is like-minded, like-hearted. And we started exchanging social media info, and I just have rarely met anyone in the field of manifestation success that also brings in the spiritual undertones and the transformation to the same depth that you do. So I'm so grateful to have you here. And then, like I said, you're a mama on top of it all.
Oh, yes. Well, that was a beautiful intro, and I will receive that about the spiritual side of things. You know, when I first started teaching manifestation, it's tempting to leave out the spiritual side and to just talk mindset and peak performance and how to take action and how to reprogram your limiting beliefs. But it was actually my connection to source energy, my oneness, that actually allowed all of this to happen so quickly for time to literally collapse. So I love that you just said that, because you're seeing me, which I think is really beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And so on that note, for those of my community that are just getting to know you, you all are in for such a treat. Yeah, share with us your story, your journey, because it has been quite a rapid journey for you. And I'd love for you to just let them get to know you.
Yeah, well, it was 2019. I was still a registered nurse. So I'm from just north of Toronto, Canada. And I have a lot of bachelor's degrees and a master's degree. And, it was really seeking knowledge and certifications to, climb that corporate ladder. I was in healthcare administration near the end. And I always felt like there was this call for more, to always be serving more people, to help more people. I was never satisfied with what I was doing. And, I thought maybe it was this like drive for success. Like I'm just really driven. That's what it is. But when I started to really tap into my power, I realized that it's more my innate spirit. It's actually my call to good. It's what I'm here to do. And so it's a little bit different. But in 2019 was when I got introduced to Bob Proctor. I'd watched the movie The Secret. I had never really gotten to know any of the like experts in the documentary. But I got introduced to Bob, and somebody said he's in the movie The Secret. I said, okay, I remember that. I'm interested in learning more about this. And then once I started to really learn from him and embody the principles that he was teaching, my life just took off. I had started my own business. It started succeeding really well. I started calling in more money to my life, better relationships. My kids stopped fighting. We had calmer bedtime routines. Everything just was shifting so much. I started to really fall in love with myself. And then by 2020, I was starting to teach it. And it became so natural for me. People would ask me questions. I would do guided visualizations. I would get online on Facebook and I would just teach on identity and self-concept and how you can manifest in your life. And people just kept saying like, you should really be teaching this. So January 2020, I decided to teach it. I launched my business. Diamond Academy was officially came into existence July 1st of 2020. So we just turned 4 in July. We've done 32 million in revenue, and we've had thousands of people come into our courses, programs, live events, retreats. But I always say the finances, the size of the business, the success of it that people want to know about, it's simply just a reflection of the impact that we've made on the world and the people that we've been able to serve, and the ripple effect, so to speak, out into the world. And I truly do believe this is my call to good, and that's why it happens so fast and so furiously, is so that I could figure out how to do this so that I can teach other people how to do it too.
Yeah, I so really appreciate that. And I appreciate what you're saying about, yes, there is the financial that people see. It's the sparkly thing that people see first. And yet, what you're speaking about is that deeper call to good. And so you're very invested and very centered and anchored into your purpose. You're a student as much as you're a teacher. You can just feel it. And that just cannot help but be so attractive. And I think it's one of the reasons that I really wanted to have you as a guest on my podcast, because most of, and perhaps it's similar to you too, most of those who listen and are part of my community are women. And I light up when I meet another woman who is empowering women on the planet today, and especially mothers, to light up from the inside out and to be empowered from the inside out, and to know if Kathleen can do it, I can do it as well. And so that's very important to me, to empower women, mothers at this time on planet Earth. And so we share that. I love that. And 2 things come to mind. You mentioned the word identity, and I know you teach a lot about that. And so I thought maybe you could just elaborate a little bit for just a mom, a woman listening.
Yeah.
Give a little taste and flavor of where she could go from this moment.
Yeah. Well, it's so beautiful actually, because I used to think that I had like a personality, like I was this personality and I thought this about myself and the world, and you couldn't change it. Like I'm a morning person or I'm a night owl, or I'm a early riser or not, or I'm an on-time person or I'm always running late, all of these things. And then things like I'm really sensitive or I'm shy, I'm introverted. I had all of these beliefs about myself. And when I started studying and studying myself, I started asking the question, is this true? Like, is that true? And like, where did that actually come from? Like, am I really smart? Like, I think I am, but like, am I actually? And like, where did that idea come from? And then those ideas and those beliefs that were limited in some capacity, where did they come from? And
Yes.
how did I develop those? And we know as moms too, there's kind of like the identity of who you were before you had your kids, and then there's like who you become when you have your kids and you kind of lose it all. And then after the kids start being independent again, like mine are 10 and 12, so they're so independent. Once they get independent again, then you start to find yourself again. So we go through these fluctuations, but what I was finding is that there was some deeply rooted beliefs about who I was as a woman that were limiting me so deeply and so profoundly that they were actually influencing what I was calling into my life, what I was attracting into my life. And now I even have a bigger understanding of that. It's not only the concepts, but the way in which those concepts feel for me. They determine, it's the emotional conception of who I think I am that actually attracts, because that's the vibration. So Kathleen, before, I used to be very, very ashamed of my body, of my appearance. You know, having been a plus size woman for much of my life, I felt a lot of shame about it. And I also believed that I needed to lose weight to be successful. So I went on a diet for all of my life, on, off, on, off, on, off. And I thought, well, once I lose the weight, I'll get the job promotion, I'll make the money, I'll have better relationships, I'll have more confidence, people will like me better, like all these things. And that made me feel a certain way. So then my life attracted based on that. So when I changed the belief and I was like, okay, wait a minute. Is it possible that I could be successful in the body that I'm in right now? No matter the size, no matter the age, no matter the color of my skin, no matter the hair color, no matter how many wrinkles I have, could I be successful no matter what? And I said, yeah, if I decide so. So I decided to stop dieting in 2020. That's it. No more. I'm not going to try to lose weight. I'm not going to go on a diet. I'm not going to hire a personal trainer. I'm not going to do all the things people were telling me that I should do. And I'm just going to go inside and love myself. So I decided to let go of that. And I fell in love with the woman that I was in 2020. So I'm so different now, but who I was in 2020. And that's when all the success came. It was so rapid. It was so fast. I did $1 million in revenue in 7 months after making that decision. And that year, 3.3 million in revenue, you know, there was like 400 women that came into my energy in that year to learn manifestation. And they would not have done that if I still believed I needed to change my flaws to serve them. So for me, identity, self-concept is one of the most important parts of manifestation, and self-love specifically is one of the most powerful energies to manifest from. And I think we have a lot of women walking around that think that maybe they love themselves, but I just want to show them that, like, if you just give yourself all of the love that you give others so easily and effortlessly, you'll see your life change so fast. And then when you love yourself, there's so much peace in that. It's a very, very peaceful place.
It's a very peaceful place. I just want to slow this down for everyone. You have named your academy Diamond Academy so appropriately, because
Yeah.
I feel like you have just dropped 20 diamonds here that we could just pick up diamond by diamond by diamond. So I want to slow this down because there's 3 or 4 just huge things that you said. So first of all, I really appreciate how transparent you are about talking about your relationship with your body. And I think that you speak for, 99.9% of us women, the way we've been conditioned, indoctrinated, whether we are plus size, small, anywhere in between. I haven't met a woman yet who
I know,
has
right?
been conditioned to have a healthy relationship with our body. And I particularly love that I could do an entire episode or series of episodes with you, because I'm smaller, but I've had so many body issues. And many friends who are like, I can't even talk to you about your body issues because what do you have a body issue about? And so it's
Yes.
just pervasive. And I share with you, I particularly appreciate that what you're saying is you made peace, you fell in love with your body before you jumped out there as you. And so these women, of course, they would be attracted to you because who would not be attracted to a woman who is making peace, who is falling in love with her body the way it is now?
Yes.
So I deeply appreciate that. And then how that connects with what you're talking about with identification,
Yeah.
right? I remember a quote you said, I think it is in your book. You said, we are not our bodies, we are in our bodies. And that to me, for everyone listening, is a takeaway on takeaways because, yes, most of us are moms, we're women, we have different roles. And so we identify ourselves often as those roles. And what you're saying speaks my language. I'm a soul, I'm a spirit, I'm a light, I'm a being that is so much greater and larger than this body. I'm grateful for this body. But to quote you again, we are not our bodies, we are in our bodies. And when you can create that distinction and then recognize and identify yourself, as you're saying, identify yourself. So good.
That's so beautiful. And I was a woman who did identify herself as her body. And that belief system, it had me trying to constantly change my body, not to be healthy, because it was
Yeah.
never about like, how can I get this body to last me a long time? No, it was how can I get it to look thin? How
Yeah.
can I get it to shrink in size? How can I get a flat stomach? Maybe one day I'll get that. How can I get rid of this double chin? So it actually came from a place of almost like an obsession about the body because I believed it was everything. I believed it was who I am.
Yeah.
And so, I'll never forget when I had that realization, like, this is like the car I drive. And like, it's not actually that important. It's that important because I think it is. And I mean, the appearance of it is not that important. Like the vessel itself, I want to take care of her. I love her. I treat her well now. I exercise. I eat nutritious food. I quit drinking alcohol. I walk every day. I take care of her now because I love her and I want her to last, but not to just make her look good
Yeah.
because that's where my value and my worth is.
Yes.
So there's so much more to this vessel, but I had to see it as a vessel instead of the whole kit and caboodle.
Exactly. And I think you're speaking for so many women, whether we've been indoctrinated to think that we are the body, as you said, or we are our bank account, or we are the car we drive, or we
Oh yeah.
are the person we're married to, not married to, all of these outer external identifications. And what you're saying is that you let go of that as a way of identifying yourself so that then you could come into that relationship. I remember hearing, I believe it was maybe on one of your Instagram reels or somewhere, where you had said that every birthday, your wish was always that you were thin.
Every single birthday.
And it brings me to another point that I think is so profound about you. And I would like all women to hear this because I get clients, and I don't know about you, but I get clients and students every day who have an idea that the longer we've held a belief, the harder it's going to be to change. And what I particularly loved about your example and your life journey with your body
Yeah.
is that this was a long held, ingrained, embodied, limiting belief. And you're talking 4 years, what you've manifest. So speak to us about the length of time that you've held on to a limiting belief and how that does or does not enter into the manifestation process.
Yeah, this is such a fun topic because beliefs they're everything. Belief precedes every manifestation you will ever have. So the belief comes first and then the manifestation will show up after. So a limiting belief will manifest itself. So my experience was that being shy, feeling guilt and shame about my body, being introverted, hating myself, it manifested out. It kept me unhappy, sad, and not really expanding the way that I could. So when I started looking at these beliefs, I actually went down to the crux of it and I thought, okay, what do I believe about beliefs? Like, so yeah, let's reprogram our beliefs, but why don't we actually look at what do I believe about beliefs in general? And what do I believe about how easy or hard they are to change?
Brilliant.
And how effortless it could be and stuff like that. And so if I believed that it's going to be hard to change a belief, then it's going to be hard to change a belief because you act out the very belief that you hold in the subconscious mind. If I believe that the longer that I've held a belief, the harder it's going to be to change it, or the longer it's going to take to change it, then that's what my experience is going to be. So I actually started to say, well, what if I believed that I could change a belief in an instant? No matter how long I've held it for, how many years I've acted upon it, no matter what the belief is, what if I can shift a belief in an instant? And so I started saying that to myself. You know what? I change beliefs easily. I can change a belief in an instant. And then I always do this other thing, Suzi, where I will look for the evidence of that belief already existing in my life to prove to the subconscious mind it's true. And that's just another little thing I do to embody that belief. So I went, okay, so where have I seen times in my life where a belief has changed very fast? Me or somebody else? And I always think about when I had my daughters, and I think I had only one at that time. I had my oldest, Mason. She was a baby, and I was using Johnson & Johnson baby products. And I had been led to believe that those products were very, very good for us, for our families, for our kids. It was baby products we were using for how many years? They'd been around probably 50 years. And so I held a belief that that was a good quality product. And then I was scrolling on social media one day and I saw an article. And it wasn't even like a peer-reviewed journal article. It was just some news story that popped up that said Johnson & Johnson baby products has been found to have some carcinogens in it. Immediately, I threw out all the products and I went and bought all new products from a different company. So what happened right there? I changed my belief by reading one thing like that.
Yes.
You didn't have to prove it to me. I didn't have to use repetition and hear it 75 times. I heard it once, immediately said, nope, I'm not going to believe that that's a good product anymore. And I changed my mind.
Wow.
So I can do it anytime now. So I use the same logic as that. How many times in our lives do we change our minds? And oftentimes it's outside suggestion. But now I change my mind. I change my beliefs from my own internal suggestion, self-suggestion, instead of from the outside world. So I'm super, super aware of what I believe about changing beliefs first.
Wow.
Then I change those first, and then I go into the actual beliefs.
Okay, everybody listening, slow this down. This is a jumbo diamond. Okay, now we're getting into the jumbo, sparkly, brilliant diamonds. So Kathleen is saying to everyone listening, how often have we held beliefs as mothers? There's not enough time. There's not enough support. As women, how often have I'll speak for myself, held belief that I have held for X amount of time. And I think that's just the way it is. And what you're saying is so empowering. I can change that thought on a dime. So everyone listening, make this practical, make this usable, tangible in your life right now. Kathleen spoke of a few beliefs that she changed in her life. What is a belief that before you even complete listening to this podcast episode, that you know you're being called inside of you? I know I've held that belief for long enough. It served its time. On a dime today, I will always remember Kathleen Cameron's episode on Permission to Thrive. I changed that belief on a dime. I love it. I haven't heard many people share it and explain it in that way. It's very empowering.
Yeah. And the one little trick with it too that I find is The things that we are more emotionally involved with, it tends to shift the belief faster.
Mhm.
So, if something's been traumatic, or if something it hits you right in the heart, you're going to change it faster. So because I had a baby at home and I was a new mom, there was an emotional component to reading that article. It was like, you know? So now I do it, but in the positive. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a bad emotion. It can be a positive. So I'll take a new belief, like I can be successful today in the body that I am in now. I am beautiful now. I don't need to change a thing. I am gorgeous, stunning, beautiful, powerful, successful today, right now. And then I'll add emotion to it. So feel the feeling of what it would feel like to actually believe that. It feels like joy. It feels like peace. It feels like truth. It feels light. It feels like a relief. And so now that I'm getting into the emotion of the belief, the subconscious mind is going to be like, oh, she believes this. Versus just saying, oh, yeah, I love myself. Okay.
Exactly. And doesn't this really relate to what you were speaking about earlier, the way that we identify ourselves? Because we've been so conditioned to identify ourselves as, I'll believe something after I can see it,
Yeah.
hear it in the 3D world. And what you are saying is that we have the power to feel a certain way, to feel a rush of emotion a certain way, well before we see. We're not waiting for something
Oh,
in the
no.
physical world. You're saying flipping that paradigm over, and that is really antithetical to what most people have been taught. We've been taught, well, I want to wait and see the evidence and then I'll change the belief.
So much. And listen, I was a registered nurse. I have multiple science degrees. I was a researcher. I was a research assistant in clinical trials. It was literally like something is not true unless you can prove it to be true. You had to see it to believe it, And so this switch, this flip for me was everything. The ability to believe in something that I can't observe right now, but to know that it will be my experience through faith. I have so much faith now. It's actually like an underlying way of being now. I am faith, is what I will often say. And so from that place, it's no, truth isn't what I observe. Truth is what I believe to be true, and then I will observe it. So if I believe that I am successful in the body that I am now in, I will observe that experience because I decided to. It's literally that easy. But we're so used to looking to the outside world to say, okay, where's the confirmation of that? Where is it? Show me. Show me I'm successful. Show me I'm good enough. Show me I'm worthy. But when
Yes.
you stop seeking it outside and you just get it from inside, you're like, okay, people, here I am.
Yeah.
And now I get people say things back to me, Susie, all the time. They're the things that I have literally written out about myself, new beliefs that I've nurtured in my subconscious mind. People will say it to me. And it's because I chose to be it. And
Yes.
now they see what I chose to believe about me.
Yes. And
Yeah.
you used that phrase a moment ago. You said, because I decided to believe it, because I decided to. And
Yep.
everyone listening right now, whatever situation, circumstance, experience is going on in your world right now, I just have to comment about the siren. If anybody can hear it, I'm in New York City. I'm helping Will move into a new apartment before NYU starts. So, it wouldn't be a podcast from New York City unless it came with some
Unless
sirens,
we had some sirens. We needed
right?
them. We needed
And
the authenticity.
yes, and you're in Malibu, so you might let us hear some waves before we
Oh,
leave.
I
And
had to close the windows. They were so loud.
yeah,
I'm not
exactly.
mad about it. I'm grateful.
We're having two different loud experiences. But everyone listening, regardless of whatever situation, circumstances you are moving through right now in your life, what Kathleen is saying is that what you do have 1000% dominion over is what you say you decide to believe. That's yours. No one can take that away from you. And I think that's so important when speaking to an audience mostly of women, because we have been indoctrinated to be subservient. And one of the things I love about you is that you are here to empower women. We have had generations of being indoctrinated to be subservient. But when one says to oneself, I choose, I have the power to decide what I believe. And then lastly, along that note, I have one more question for you, but then I want to go to the topic of faith for sure, because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
But on this topic, just to round it out, another thing that you may receive questions about from your clients and students, I know I do on a daily basis, there is a generalized belief system out there that not only are we looking for the evidence before it manifests, you gave us such a beautiful, that the feeling when you were speaking about your body and your emotion and your joy, I'm sure it was contagious. I'm sure everybody listening could feel that. That's what we're talking about. Now there's another belief out there that says manifestation for something small is easier than manifestation for something, quote, large. And I've heard you speak to this, and I'd love for you to share around the manifestation process and the difference between, is there even a large or small?
Oh, no, no. Well, nothing is big or small, it just is. And it's in our comparison to something else, a law of relativity, that we decide if it's big or small. So, $100 to you might be a small amount of money, but $100 to somebody else can be a large amount of money. So it's all relative, meaning the amount of money doesn't really matter. It's just your perception of the amount of money and if it's big or small. If you believe something is really, really big, it's a big manifestation. The belief then is that it's going to be hard. It's going to take a long time. You're not exactly sure how to do it. And so the subconscious mind is going to say, yeah, okay, this is going to take a while. So I'm going to slow down. I'm going to question my beliefs a little bit. I'm going to take it easy. I'm not going to really know what to do. But when you think something is easy and effortless and like, okay, we'll give it a go, the subconscious mind is going to be like, oh, okay, let's go all in. Let's do it. But the other piece is also attachment to the outcome. So some of the easiest manifestations that I have had, and I say easy as in like effortless, not no effort, but less effort, because we have to take action. We have to move in the physical 3D world. But the ones that have come the quickest, that have felt the most effortless or easy, the ones that have been like just boom, it showed up almost immediately, were the ones that I had zero attachment to the outcome. Mm-hmm. So zero attachment to the outcome doesn't mean I don't want it. I want it, but I don't need it. It's a preference over a requirement. That was something Neil Donald Walsh taught me. Preference over requirement. So when something is a requirement in your life, you need it. Mm-hmm. So those big manifestations, you need those. They're a requirement. I need it to feel worthy. I need it to feel successful. I need it so I can finally feel proud of myself. All of those things. You are inherently in the vibration of not having it. Yes. And you're attached to wanting it and not having it. So you're not actually vibrationally matching the experience. So for me, no matter what that manifestation is, if it's a cup of coffee or a canceled massage, if I want a massage at the spa and they're booked solid and I manifest myself a cancellation, I do that all the time. Whether it's that or $1 million. I played around with this and I manifested $1 million in 7 days. I said, I would love to do that. And I remained unattached to the outcome, which means I didn't need to make the million to feel good about myself. I didn't need to do it to prove myself to anybody. I did it for fun. And I made it like not a big deal. And it came just as easily and effortlessly as the canceled massages were.
Yes, this is what I want everyone to hear. It's an inside job about the way you were light.
Oh yes.
You said, I played around with it. I was having fun. I was light. I was unattached. You said you weren't looking to that thing to bring you a sense of worth or value or finally feel proud of yourself. I know that there is a lot of misunderstanding out there. Most people would think, myself included back in the day, that certainly manifesting $1 million would be more challenging than manifesting 100, certainly. You're reminding me of this demonstration actually I just had the other day where, I said I'm out here with Will and he's looking to move into a new apartment. And so we had originally said if you can find an apartment for the same price, totally cool. And when we actually started looking, it became apparent that it was going to be a little higher. So it turns out I did the math and I think it's going to be probably about 25 grand higher. So I'm like you, I'm playing around with it. Okay, what would that feel like? 25 grand. And I'm just playing around with it. I think that was on a last Tuesday, got here on a Wednesday. And Friday, I get a no random email from my CPA saying, hey, by the way, you're getting a tax refund for $25,000.
Yeah, I knew it.
And it was actually also from his education account, which the universe doesn't miss a detail. So I love that so much.
And it's like, I see it as almost like choosing your experience. So it's like, what experience would I like to have today? I don't need it to be like this, universe, but if you can provide it to me, I'm good with it. Yeah, I would love everything to be easy and effortless and light. I also often will say to myself too, like, I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
Because if I believe that I have a lot to lose, I'm attached, I'm going to be nervous, I'm going to feel the pressure. So I will literally just be like, oh, I've got nothing to lose. And it's just like, it's not that serious. Like, who cares? Yeah. And that energy, it just calms the nervous system down. It has you just be in this safe and secure place. Either way, everything is working out in my favor. And that type of energy is really where I sit most of the time now. And it's also very peaceful.
Yeah. And I love that because most of the individuals in this community are women or moms, and it can be so easy to get caught in the heaviness of motherhood and the heaviness. And I love what you're saying. And I would just love to put it out there as a challenge to everybody listening. Just this week, today, from this podcast for the rest of your afternoon, experiment with yourself. Look for something, be light, be playful, and then let Kathleen and I know, send us an email, D-mail us, text us, like, what happened? Just by giving yourself that, what do I have to lose? Maybe today doesn't need to be heavy. Maybe today can be light-filled. I have nothing to lose. And
love that.
Yeah, and then just be in touch with us and let us know. And then lastly, just to come full circle, I would love for you to speak about faith. You mentioned it earlier, and I would love to. I've heard you speak about it often, but how has your faith evolved? How are you different? What is your relationship with faith? What was it? Where is it? Anything in that neighborhood?
Yeah. I used to believe that faith was something that was involved in religion. And I used to believe that having faith was like you have a faith in something. And maybe in a religious capacity. And so I never thought about it. It wasn't part of my language. I never used the word. Wasn't a part of my life. But when I started in the manifestation journey and I started studying law of attraction, these principles, I very much started to resonate with the idea of like the universe always providing and that there's a universe out there that's supporting you and guiding you. And so I started to think about, okay, so what if I did believe in that? What if I did believe that there was something out there more than this human experience? And then I started to believe that I am a soul having a human experience in this body and stuff. So I started to believe in that. Now I will speak about God, source, universe, infinite intelligence, like whatever you want. I use the God language now, but it's a God of my understanding, which I've come to at my 42nd year of my life, which I'm grateful for. But that higher spiritual perspective and awareness allowed me to start to have faith in things outside of what I've experienced, what I've seen, what I absolutely know to be true, like read in a book or whatever else. So now I have faith, deep and profound faith that I have deep and profound faith in myself. I have deep and profound faith in the universe that I am supported. I have deep and profound faith in the material that I teach and the understanding of it and my ability to teach it. I have deep and profound faith in God, and God really allowing me to guide that energy. I do believe that I guide source energy by who I'm being and the thoughts that I'm having. That's part of my faith. And I do believe that we are always supported, and that's part of the faith factor for me. And so in the moments when I start to go deeper into my human, I call it, my human experience, and I start to question, I start to doubt, I'm in fear, I always go back to and remind myself of the experience of having faith. And so in those moments, I can say, okay, do I want to stay in the doubt? Do I want to stay in the fear? Or do I want to decide to choose faith in this moment instead? And so I got it tattooed on me because I wanted to have a physical place where I can touch it. So now, if you ever see me, not often, this probably happens more on my own, but in the moments where I'm actually choosing faith, I'll just hold it. I'll just hold it. And like, it's just an anchor. It just grounds. And it's like, I'm going to choose to have faith in this moment. And I know that it's all already here. It's already done. I'm safe. I am amazing. I am supported. Everything I ever wanted is here. And if I can't see it yet, it doesn't mean it's not here. It means it's just not observable yet. The experience of faith for me has really changed my life. And so that's why I say, like, we can choose a state of being at any time. So when I say I am faith today, I'm choosing to be that state in every single way I possibly can today. And the more you do that, the more your life will absolutely change, because guess what? You manifest the things you have faith in happening.
Exactly. And it's another thing that I just so appreciate about your teachings and about the particular way that you articulate yourself, because as you started, most of us have been indoctrinated to have a connection between faith and religion.
Yes.
And if you have faith and it is connected to your religion and it works for you, that's wonderful and great. And the way that you just explained it is transcendent of a religion. It's transcendence. It's a faith. Yes. And so I love that. I love that you have it on your, you have embodied faith. For anyone who's known me, literally, exactly. That's why I love it. And anybody that's known me for a minute, like, I love touchstones. And I always say to people like this, people look at it and they think it's my wedding ring. But really, when we got married, I decided to marry myself, marry my soul, marry my highest self, marry my purpose, marry my, right, all the things.
Beautiful.
So when I look down at this ring, even though most people would think, oh, it's her wedding, I look down and it's like faith to you. I look down and I'm like,
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah. And I think what's really beautiful about that is one of the things that I love to help people with is to really, really feel that fulfillment in tapping into the wholeness of who they are. And so when we think that something is missing and we are not whole, we always are going to have those gaps in our lives. And so I don't want people to be trying to meet an ideal or become something they think they need to be. Yeah. I always say, like, I'm loving myself to become the best of myself. Like, I want to feel whole in who I am right now. And then we can add more to my life and make it fuller, but I don't want to think anything's missing. I want to feel whole in this moment. And then you understand vibrationally then, if you feel whole, and you feel grateful, and you feel joy, and you feel peace, and you feel bliss, those vibrations manifest as more of those experiences. But if you feel like something's missing or lacking, or you're a problem that needs fixing, you're going to call that same experience in. And so wholeness of who you are is the final outcome. And it can be done without changing your life outside of you at all, and just by changing your inside world, which is what's really beautiful.
Absolutely. And that is what you demonstrate. You have shown us today and in your body of work that you have changed your relationship to yourself first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And anyone and every one of us can do it. And I think many women and mothers, they're asking the question, how can I be a good mother? And then you're always striving for that next thing and that next thing and then. And what you're offering today is just ultimate freedom. My heart is just leaping and soaring. I'm on the edge of my seat at your every word because it's just feeding that sense of freedom is available to everyone right now, regardless of what situation and circumstance you're going through. And the wholeness that you're speaking of, you're not waiting for the wholeness. You're not waiting to feel worthy. And that is self-love, which is where you started today, which is self-love.
Yeah.
One last question for you, because you do have two girls.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, is there something that you wish for women everywhere? Is there something that you wish for the next generation? Is there something that you wish for your girls that could be a takeaway for any parent out there, any woman out there?
Yeah. I think the most important thing that I try to teach my daughters every single day is to see how incredible they are in every moment. I want them to look in the mirror and be like, oh man, you're so beautiful. Like, you're so powerful. You're so kind. You're so strong. You're such an asset to this world. You're important. You're meaningful. So I don't want my daughters to just have to hear it from the outside world to believe it. So I really, really teach them to tell themselves that and to see that in themselves. We have a lot of conversations about gratitude, but one of the things that I say is, what is something that you love about yourself? Or like, what do you think your greatest asset is? Or like, what do you think you're really good at? And what I'm getting them to do is to find it, to go inside, to notice it and to find it. And I want that to be the habit. Because my habit was to find the problem, was to find the bad thing, was to find what wasn't working. That was easy and effortless and natural. So I just want to teach my daughters the opposite. And so I do the same thing with every single student that comes into any of my courses, programs, live events, is I am getting you to find the good in who you are. Because the more you find the good, everybody else will see it. Not that we need it, but that this is how we serve people. And so I say all the time, Kathleen, who the heck do you think you are now? I'm ready to change the world because I went in and I found my strengths and I helped them to grow. And now I think that I can. And if we had a world full of people who think that they can, what kind of world are we going to be living in? A very different one. And now more and more people are doing that. This is why the collective consciousness is changing so quickly. So I'm grateful. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why the subtitle of my book, The Motherhood Evolution, is the name of my book, but the subtitle is Thriving Mothers Raising Thriving Children. And what that is my passion is I see you as a thriving mother. So your girls are witnessing you. You're not telling them something that you aren't embodying every day of your life. And the thing that I do appreciate, among so many things that I appreciate about you, is that you talk about your journey. So many thought leaders present themselves in a certain kind of a way, and you are so comfortable talking about your actual journey. And so I found you so relatable, and I just know everyone in my community is going to find you so relatable. And your daughters are in the energy of a home where their mom is giving herself permission to thrive. And I just can't think of anything better for our next generation. So thank you for being with me. I just adore you. Tell everyone where they can find you, and trust me, your bio and everyone listening, all of your Instagram and websites and everything will be in the show notes. But tell us, what do you have going on right now? Where can people find you?
Yes, so much. My YouTube channel is very popular right now, so it's growing very, very quickly. So I would say that the Kathleen Cameron, I think it's Kathleen Cameron Manifest YouTube, tons and tons of content. We just filmed a whole bunch more. So lots of beautiful stuff. The podcast is on there, the Manifested podcast. It's also on Spotify and Apple. And then Instagram is always a fun place. I share more about my personal life a little bit on Instagram. I'm going to do that a little bit more. And then I've got a couple of books, Becoming the One and The Best of Yourself, on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and all that. So you find me in the moment when you are most often calling me in. So the moment where you're ready to start to go within and start to thrive is often when I come into people's lives. So I just say that there's no accidents, no coincidences, and everything is attraction. So you asked for me, so here I am.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
you're my sister. I just feel such a simpatico with you. You're amazing.
Aw, of
Thank you so much. I know I'll have you back again. And for
course.
everyone,
Anytime.
yeah, for everyone listening, there's so many gems here, so many diamonds here. Please do yourself a favor, go back to it a few times. This is an episode you can come back to often. Look Kathleen up. I watched your YouTubes and have read your books, and you have a beautiful way of articulating yourself that is just, for me anyway, so inspiring and attractive and just really easy to digest and leaves me wanting more. So
I will receive
you're
that. Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
Yeah,
Thank you
you're
so much for
beautiful.
having me. I'm so grateful. And I hope that this podcast episode creates the impact that you intended it to do. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Excellent. Much love, everyone. Okay, everyone. I hope you had so many takeaways from that conversation, so many gems, so many diamonds. And if you did, I would so appreciate it if you would consider passing this on to another woman. I want all women everywhere to thrive, to manifest, to feel whole and good with a sense of self-love. And if you received anything from this episode, if you would pass it forward, if you would leave a 5-star review, and if you would subscribe, I would be so grateful. Much love. Give yourself permission to thrive this week, and I will see you next week. Much love, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. If there was something in this conversation that spoke to you, we'd so appreciate it if you would take the time to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this episode with women and mothers you know, because you are here to thrive. See you next time.